get it.
All right, let's get it. Let's get it. All right, guys, we are back for another one. Sister Lives came live and direct to your living room, household, personal tablet, iPhone, or computer. Or maybe you're watching us on the big screen TV. Who knows? But
Ooh,
either way,
I apologize if I'm coming in HD.
right,
I do better in like 1080p.
right. You hit that 4K
The
resolution.
smaller the better. If you're on your Motorola Razr, I look real good.
Yeah, right. But we're having a great time. But before we get started, we get too far afield. I want to make sure that everybody can see us, they can hear us. We're coming through loud and clear. So if you guys can populate a little bit with a one in the chat, I would appreciate it. So that way I know we're actually live and we're good to go. All right, I see some ones pop right
One.
up. Thank you, Nikki. One.
I even
Awesome.
saw, and I missed the person, but someone said it's their first live tonight.
Okay.
Yeah.
Welcome.
So welcome.
Yeah. Turning that corner. It's actually tonight should be fun. It should be fun. It was an interesting episode. Like I thought it was an interesting episode. What did you think about it? Wow.
I mean, I don't know where Cody and Robin really go from here because the more that gets discussed, the worse they look. And we haven't even gotten to like the Garrison
Big G stuff. Yeah.
You know, and it's like they look so bad. Like, and Meri is still trying to cover for them in a lot of ways, but like finding out that she like Robin straight up ghosted her, she like barely like, and we suspected, but she confirmed the only times she saw Cody and Robin was filming for the show.
Right.
She never went and like hung out with those kids as a family.
Right, exactly. And that actually is kind of ties into one of the things that I wanted to bring out tonight when we were talking about we get to the section where we talk about Meri going over to the house to reveal the big move to the kids and let Cody and them know. And part of like Meri or Cody and Robin's surprise, why are you moving so quickly? I don't understand. Why are you leaving so fast? I think that's exactly why they're concerned about her moving so quickly because she's part of their storyline. So if you leave, who are we going to talk to? And what are we going to talk about? So, through and through, it's all about what are you doing for me and how is this going to affect me? It's very little about like our relationship with Meri and making sure Meri's okay. So
they're really just awful people. They're awful family members. They're the family members that you are always apologizing for. That get the obligatory invitation, but you hope don't come.
Right.
And I really feel like going forward, because now we've had multiple events where I feel like Cody and Robin's presence did more harm than good. There's enough family members. So Logan's wedding, clearly one of them. Even McKelty's baby sprinkle. I don't know what's going to be filmed for the show regarding Garrison's memorial services, but it feels like every time Cody and Robin are at something, it's traumatic for these kids.
Right. And the problem is that two things. First thing, you had said they're the family members that you're always apologizing for, and when you said that, I 100% agree with that. But I would also add that they're always the people that you seem to be apologizing to, because somehow, some way, you hurt their feelings.
Yeah.
Or you ran afoul of something that they, you know what I mean? Some way you crossed them or did them wrong, and somehow they're the victim or villain, and you're the eternal villain in this little scenario. So you always find yourself apologizing. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to do that. I'm sorry you felt that way. I'm sorry you were upset.
Yeah.
Sorry I offended you.
There's a very wise school of thought, and something that I've had to learn over the years, when you get online and you're like arguing with people and you're going back and forth and you're just like Twitter warriors, right? Keyboard warriors or whatever they say. And someone once told me, like, you want to be right or do you want to be happy? Right.
Right.
And I think that that is such great advice until you are constantly having to just be happy, right? Like,
Right.
ever be right. You can only,
Mm,
it's either or, it's never both. You can't be right and happy. Madison is like, I'm gonna be right. Like,
right. I'll
and
be happy, right.
she's not happy, but it's like she doesn't need that relationship with her dad. It seems
Mm,
like a lot of Christine's kids have said, you know what, I can do this dance a little longer. I can tiptoe around his feelings. Aspen seems to navigate it pretty well. Isabel, this episode really broke my heart because
mm-hmm.
to me, and I'm sorry, I'm just word vomiting at the moment. To me, it seemed like Isabel was crying not because she felt like her dad was going to be replaced, but she actually is witnessing for the first time like a good dad and
Right.
realizing how much she missed out on.
Right. Exactly.
Because even in the best of times, her dad is never going to be a good dad, right?
Right. Right.
And not even like a David, just like a good dad.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Well, because I think that that's part of the problem, and we kind of talked about it last night after the after show, is that with Isabel, even with Truly, during the course of the episode, Christine made the point of saying, I'm concerned because this is the first time I'm going to live with a man full time. Well, this is also the first time that her kids get to see what it's like to have a man inside the house full time. The first time that they actually have a father or father figure who's constantly available and present for them when they have issues
And I'm
or concerns
sorry, but
or don't.
every time Christine says, I don't care, I'm going to do it anyways, I'm like, girl,
Yeah,
ugh. Like
yeah.
this is how we got here, right? Like
Right,
just like throwing caution to the wind when it comes to the well-being of your children. Like you do still have a minor at home, you know what I mean? And like
right.
it just I feel like it just so happened to work out that David's not like a serial killer, but like and that's great. And when you know, and blah blah blah. But like you really don't know. You would have had better luck going on care.com and like getting someone who was background checked to like babysit your kids, McKelty. But like, no, you employ this guy that's your mom's like third date.
Right, right. Well, because she's so sure and she's positive, and I don't want to like, I'm sensitive to the fact that you like myself and most people on YouTube who do the channels or whatever are trying to walk the fine line between what would be prudent good advice versus what Christine did. You understand what I'm because her actions and everything her entire relationship with David is not the norm. It's an anomaly. This is not what usually happens. This is the exception. This is not the rule. If you get with somebody you know them only for a couple months and all of a sudden you're moving into a house, you guys are exchanging bank information, you're talking about going into major equity debt with this person, and then what I mean, and you've only known them for about 4 or 5 months, this could end disastrously. Like this could be like crazy. You think the divorce with Cody was bad? You know what I mean? This could be way worse. Like he
Christine
could
got
gut
out
her.
easy from her marriage to Cody, as she's
Right.
saying that it's not so easy for Meri and Janelle to do. She got to walk away with her house that was because Cody's such a dumbass, was refinanced into her name only. Yeah,
Only. Right.
she's in a 30. Well, I know that there's different lengths of mortgages. I have a 30-year mortgage. So, like,
Mm,
my husband and I, for at least the next 30 years, well, I don't know, like 26 now, but like,
right.
we're locked in.
Right. We gotta figure it out.
Yeah. And
We
we
gotta
got
figure it out.
like a 2.75% interest rate. So we're not refinancing.
Right. We're
Like
not
we are
going
riding
anywhere.
it this way.
Right, exactly. Well, because here's something that like I hadn't really considered before either. And it's the fact that with Christine, because her divorce was so easy, her separation from Cody was so easy, there is a possibility that it creates a false sense of security with regard to divorces moving forward. Because even her approach to, in the way she talks about getting divorced now, like, oh, divorce, I recommend it for everybody. It's the shit. It's the bomb. You should do it. Divorce a day. That's what I say. Keeps the sadness away. Like all that cute stuff that she's doing right now. That's because technically, one, you weren't legally married. So your divorce consisted of get the hell out of my house. Don't come back no more. That was your divorce. But if you are legally married, like now she's legally married to David. So the things that she had, your separation, regardless of how well he's doing financially or how well you're doing financially or whatever, when you divorce now, then it's going to involve paperwork. It's going to involve you basically, quiet as it's kept, when you get divorced, you're basically asking the state for permission to separate. You
Yeah.
understand what I mean? Like
Hmm.
you're asking for permission to separate. It's not a thing where I just don't want to be with them no more. The state's like you're granted. Like they could turn around and say, "No, you're going to therapy. I don't feel comfortable giving you a divorce at this moment. I order you to go to therapy, couples therapy." Like they
Hmm.
could do that, or it could stall out for years, and he could tie her money up for years. Like this could be crazy disaster. So that's why I think she's kind of looking at, even when Isabel is saying, "Are you sure this is going to work out? Are you sure this is going to be forever?" Oh, absolutely, absolutely, of course, it's going to be great. You know, it just comes off a little naive to people, and God bless her, because it could be her innocence and her naivete to make her happy. But me, I'm way more jaded, so I'd be so like I would be I'll be so afraid to jump into another relationship like that and then possibly get financially ruined, especially if I made it out of my first one
Hmm.
financially sound and good. For me to jump into another one, screw the lifeboats.
Yeah.
The Titanic will never sink. Yeah,
Like, what are the odds of it happening twice, right?
right, exactly. Right. A little quick history fact: like all the sister ships of the Titanic are at the bottom of the ocean. Like, so,
So
all the unsinkable ships are
of
gone.
that story, there I think Angelina Jolie made a video about this guy. He was, I think it was called like Unbroken or Unbreakable or something, not the Bruce Willis movie, but this guy, and it's a true story. And the guy like just recently died, but he was like lost at sea for a month or something.
Mm.
He gets rescued by, I forget who, but becomes like a prisoner of war because it's during World War II. And he's a prisoner of war for like years. So can you imagine, like, you're lost at sea, you get rescued only to become a prisoner of war? Like think about that, Christine.
Right, right. Like you get out, you think you're safe, but it's not safe to go back into the water. You know what I mean? Like
Right,
the whole
exactly.
balance.
Now you're a prisoner of war.
Right, right. And I think that that's where everybody who she talks to, like she tries to, it comes off, and I won't say she doesn't understand. That's not fair, but it just comes off as though she's so happy and so cheerful and so like naive about the world that it just seems like she doesn't understand the danger that she's in. Like she's walking up slapping the shit out of a pit bull. You know what I mean? Like, ha ha ha, it's funny. Like you don't understand like how bad this could get. And everybody who's warning you, it's not that they're trying to hamper or damper or slow down your love or prevent your love or prevent you from being happy. It's just that they're concerned that if you make a mistake, this could be the thing to break you. Like Cody's relationship with you was hard and it was difficult, and you walked out of it stronger. But if
Mhm.
you get into another situation, this could be the one that actually does it for you.
Yeah.
And I think that that's where people are kind of concerned. So it's not that people are saying that Christine, obviously, she can do whatever she wants. She's an adult and she's a person. She can do whatever she wants. But
Mhm.
people are just concerned for her because of those, I think, because of those reasons. And it's not a bad thing because, like I said, if this was any other situation, like if you were talking to a person like Christine and Christine's situation, and it was your family member, friend, or even maybe a close coworker, you would be voicing concerns. You know what I
Yeah,
mean? But
you know
because we
what's
know
so
about it.
funny? I noticed on this season in particular of Love is Blind that sometimes on Love is Blind, there'll be a family member that's like not comfortable participating in being on camera. This season, there was multiple family members like, I don't know if my dad's gonna walk me down the aisle because he just like thinks that this is all crazy, right? And
Mhm.
so imagine, right? You're like, oh, I'm gonna go on this dating show, and you come back and you're like, I'm getting married in like 3 weeks. What? So by no means is like Christine moving the fastest out of anyone
Right.
ever. And I will say, to her credit, I think that she is showing a lot more care and consideration to her children and to her family than Cody did when Robin came into the family. I think it was Janelle that said, like, we sat the kids down and was like, this is happening. You will blah 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 blah. And at
Right.
least Christina's like, he's not trying to replace your dad. Like, I can appreciate the fact that she's walking a fine line. And I feel like she just doesn't always say the right thing, because sometimes it's like, okay, just don't say it doesn't matter what your kids think. Even if it doesn't matter what your kids think, just don't say it, right?
Right. Right.
Um, but I really do think it does matter what her kids think to her. I think it matters quite a bit. But I think the point she's trying to get across in her interviews is that she's in her era of her, right? She's in her
Right.
Christine era where Christine is numero uno. And that's fine, but truly,
Right.
you
Right.
know?
You know what? This is the oddity of the situation. I think usually plays itself out in the reverse. Usually, it's the parent who is trying to counsel their child about making impromptu, quick decisions, and usually it's the child saying, "Look, it's my life. I'm gonna live my life the way I want to. It ain't got nothing to do with you. I'm gonna live my thing. I'm gonna do my stuff." Blah blah blah. And the problem is that yeah, it is your life. Yeah, you get to make the decisions, but as a parent or somebody, not even necessarily a parent, but as somebody who cares about you, I understand that one, I don't want to see you get hurt. And two, irrespective of how you think, how much weight my choices or my opinion is on your decision, at the end of the day, I'm going to be the one who is there to help you pick up the pieces. And so from that respect, I just want to voice my concerns. Like I think that the kids, I'm just being honest. I think that the kids, even though they stand in opposition to what Christine is doing slightly, it's not like they're saying absolutely not, but they have hesitancy. And
Mhm.
I understand why the kids have hesitancy because again, what she's deciding to do defies rules, it defies logics, it defies the norm. Even
Mhm.
these kids, we talk about like in their particular religion or faith, people date quickly and this, that, and other. We always have to remember that these kids didn't necessarily grow up in that community because by the time they went to Vegas, a lot of them were still young.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? So they didn't grow up in like close to a lot of the AUB folks. In fact, they had moved away, well away from a lot of the religious community. So they weren't. They grew up around the normies like the rest of us, where people dated, they go out on dates, they decide they don't like this person, and go through a whole bunch of trash people, and then all of a sudden you meet the one.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, get screwed over a whole bunch, maybe cheated on a few times, and you realize what you like, and then you find that person.
Mhm.
So I think that's kind of where they were struggling at.
Yeah,
But
and I also think that this is being beefed up for the storyline. I think
right,
it's clear that producers are like, we're going with the aspect of this relationship is moving fast, and they're playing that up because I really don't feel like Christine would mention it as much as she is if it wasn't like for producers constantly asking her about it. So I kind of, and
right,
it's like the kids in their interviews that they've done. It's like you can kind of tell, like, they're clearly answering a question pointed at the speed of which this relationship is going.
Right, right.
Yeah.
And I think that's a good point. Like, I mean, I hope she's not sitting around talking about it like this because that would be disturbing as shit. Like, y'all get married. Like, calm down. It's okay.
Yeah.
Because there's that point where if you have to keep saying it, are you trying to inform me or are you trying to prove it to yourself? You trying to convince yourself that this is a good idea.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like it's in that weird place. But even what Brittany had to say, my newest moderator, yeah. So I
Hey,
also have
not Brittany.
Caramel Cuties. Um, Isabel was also the one who had to listen to Christine cry and everything when her marriage with Cody fell apart. And I 100% agree with this. In fact, I think I might have said this before, expressed this before, but I'm 100% on board with Brittany on this
Yeah.
because the reality of it is that as much as we as parents like to pretend that we can hide things from our kids, a lot of times just by the sheer nature of them being in the house, they're aware of a lot more than we try to pretend like we think we're shielding them from.
Mhm.
So maybe Cody and Christine never had a full on argument in front of the kids, but they could hear them through the walls. They could feel the tension at the breakfast table or the
Mhm.
dinner table when Dad comes over and he barely looks at her. Like they feel this, and you can see the sadness in your mom when Dad comes over. He's over for the evening, and all of a sudden he's gone, and she's sitting around crying. Or you walk into the kitchen, you catch her crying all the time. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? So that is something that young Isabel, more than a lot of the other kids, has seen firsthand.
Mhm.
And she's old enough to where she was probably, at that time, she was probably liking boys and digging boys, maybe going out or whatever. So she might know a little something about heartbreak and romance,
Mhm.
whereas Truly might be a little more oblivious to it because she's younger.
Mhm.
So, I mean, I think that that's a great point.
Yeah.
Great point. But to get into the episode, let me get my notey notes up. Uh, you have Mary coming in, and she had the whole thing where they were in Parawan. For some reason, I keep calling it Padawan. I guess it's the Star Wars influence. Yeah,
That would be cool.
the Padawan, Utah.
Young
The force,
Padawan.
the force is strong with this one. Robin is on the dark side, bringing in Cody. But um, they're over at Parawan, and Mary is meeting with her two friends, like the gentleman who interior designed the back extra house or the bonus house, or
Yeah,
I don't
the
know what you
that
call it,
carriage
shit.
house or
Yeah,
whatever.
the carriage house,
Yeah.
as well as Jen. Like so, Jen is making another appearance. Welcome back, Jen. I was a little concerned I didn't see you on the show. I
Jen
guess they didn't want
doesn't
to cut her
travel with
check.
Flagstaff, apparently.
Right. Right. I think I just had a feeling like TLC maybe didn't want to cut her a check. So she was like, look, if you're
Well,
not
I
paying
mean,
me, I'm not
if
showing
the
up.
Kelty's not going to get a check for literally giving birth on camera, then
Yeah.
sorry, best friend Jen. No Applebee's gift card for you.
Right, exactly. Exactly. Maybe they gave her like a little free breakfast sandwich at the Wendy's. Um
Maybe.
yeah, she'll be the only one in line. It'll be great. It'll be great. Fast service. But while she was sitting there talking to Jen, they talked about like the whole furniture thing where she had mentioned that, what are you going to do with all that furniture you have? Because Mary, we have to keep in mind, Mary has lived in some big houses
Yes.
and she has furnished the hell out of those big houses from Las Vegas to the three houses she had in Arizona. She's
Mm.
lived in some big places with a lot of furniture being required. So I guess looking around the carriage house, which is probably not the carriage house, but the inn, which is already full of furniture,
Uh-huh.
you're thinking like, what are you gonna do with the extra furniture? Mary reveals that she gave a lot of it away, and she even says that Cody had asked her about uh, whether she had certain feelings about giving away this furniture. Are you tied to it emotionally? How does it make you feel giving it away? And Mary gives her expression that she's tied to the stuff that belonged to her grandmother, but why would she be tied to the furniture that belonged to a broken marriage? But again, I can see the confusion where Mary says she was a little confused by some of the mixed signals that Cody was giving to her. Um, did you take from that Cody was like trying to throw more mixed signals at her, or was it just something that he was saying? Like, what do you think his motivation was for even mentioning it?
No, Cody. I I hate to call someone evil, right? Like that's like a loaded description. But I think that he is as malintended as I have ever seen someone. He knows exactly how to work Meri and Janelle,
Mm-hmm.
and he does it to his advantage. And I have zero respect for him. I think he is a defective human. I really have nothing nice to say about him. Sometimes I'll get comments like, damn, like, okay,
Like,
like, and
take
I'm
it
like,
easy.
I mean, I could go on and on about Cody, but
Right.
bringing it back, uh, last year, Meri did a virtual Halloween tour of her B&B, and
Mm,
she had a lot of her family's like historical items from the like 1800s, early 1900s in like shadow boxes and on display in the inn. And it was really beautiful. And I love history. I love American history. And I just thought it was so interesting. And Meri is the type of person that she hangs on to that kind of stuff.
mm,
If for any other reason, just to preserve history. Um, I think her walking away from this furniture, the pieces that she was giving to her sister and to Nathan she had that since Las Vegas. Like she's had
right.
that for a really long time. And that's almost a piece of like Sister Wives nostalgia, right? If she ever
Right.
wanted
Right.
to open like a Sister Wives museum, it's like there's the but when something brings you bad feelings, you walk away from it. And that's what she's doing. And
Right.
the thing with Cody is he's sitting there saying all these little things that got it. And we see it in next week's episode too, where they're like flirting with, oh, you're my favorite ex-wife or whatever. He knows exactly how to play it so that he's not overtly really being nice to her or even like giving her a compliment, but he's dropping just enough of a breadcrumb that she will like analyze what he said for the next like however many months until he has to like interact with her again. That will keep her satiated for however long. Like she was even saying in this episode that they went out and like, I don't know, had beverages, aka they were boozing it
They
up.
got
That's
jacked up. Yeah. Right.
yeah, that's the way I took it. So they were getting drunk together is the way I
Right.
took that. And because they were drunk, Cody was actually nice to her. Sorry, I hit my microphone. And he was like, "Oh yeah, we're gonna do all these things," and then she's like, "And then I didn't hear from him for months."
Mm, yeah. Yeah. Well, you know what? Because it kind of like I guess I'll preface it by saying this. It reminds me a lot. Like I was talking to my son a few weeks ago about dishonesty, or we were talking about something, and I mentioned about lies. And the curious thing about lies is that when you lie to somebody, you tell a lie to a person, and the only way a lie works, no matter how good, bad, smart, stupid it is, the only way it works is if the person you're lying to is willing to believe it. They
Mhm.
have to be willing to believe it. Now, this is also just as an aside. This is also part of the reason why I don't like to get lied to. Part of the reason why most people don't like to get lied to is because I want to believe this because I trust in you and I have faith in the person that I think you are. But when I find out you're lying, I realize that you're not that person. And that's the part of it that hurts me. It's not the lie, it's the fact that you aren't who I thought you were. But
Mhm.
all that aside, I say that to say this. If you like somebody and you want to be with somebody, when they give you these little decipher codes, these little breadcrumbs, and you start analyzing them, you're looking at it from a perspective of this shows or reinforces my belief and encourages me to continue the pursuit of this person because it makes it seem as though I'm gonna get what I want. You
Mhm.
go like I'm sure when they were sitting there boozing it up, they were turning down for what? They sitting there getting fired up, and he was passing drinks. In the back of her mind, she thought, okay, we're starting to relax. Think there's a possibility that we might wind up back in somebody's room and things may happen. You understand what I mean? This is that like that weird place, like people get friend zoned and they always think that this is the time when it's about to happen. And
Yes.
that's why I think that he keeps her trapped in that perpetual place of
Yes.
this is it. This is when it's gonna happen.
Yeah.
And so she just wants to believe that it's going to happen. So she sees everything he does. She sees that as, oh, when he said, "Why are you moving so quickly?" That's him being sad because I'm leaving, and
Right.
it's breaking his heart. You know,
Right.
what I mean, because that's what you want him to feel. You
Right.
know, so I kind of feel like it's like so. I agree with you. I think that that's kind of what that does keep her tied in. And for people on the outside like us, we'll look at it and be like, "What are you doing? Use your common sense. Stop paying like stop falling into this. He doesn't want you. He's just playing with your emotions, girl. Stop it."
Yeah.
But for her, she wants to believe it, and she
Mhm.
desperately wants to believe it. And I get it. Like I think that I'm not too proud to say I've been in that situation where you be like, okay, yeah, I'm making a headway. Yeah,
I feel
things about to happen.
all can appreciate the fact that we've all been there. We've all been in the friend zone looking for clues that will indicate that we're working our way out, you know?
Right, right,
But the thing is we weren't friend zoned by our husbands or our spouse of 20 years. And we're like in this
yeah,
relationship purgatory. It's, you know,
yeah, yeah. And she didn't even get friend zone. She got benched. Like that. There's a little different.
yeah.
I agree. She got benched.
She got
You
put
know
on
what I
the
mean?
injured list and she's like, I'm perfectly fine. What's going on?
That's what's it Body Python, bring out your dad, bring out your dad. Here
Yeah.
you go. I'm still alive.
Yeah.
No, you're not.
Yeah.
I'm still breathing.
Yeah.
I'm alive.
And it's just
Yeah,
like, and I'm so happy to hear her say in these couch interviews. And I was so relieved to hear her friends kind of just give it to it must be so refreshing for Jen to be able to kind of like say these things to her now because I think Jen probably had to swallow a lot of her like real
yeah,
feelings to like kind of not hurt Mary's feelings, but to say things like, girl, you've been single for 10 years.
right,
I
right,
am so glad that Meri has people in her circle of trust that can say those things to her and Meri can hear it and take it in and accept it and laugh about it even. Um,
right.
and I lost my train of thought, but I'm happy for Meri that she has people like that in her life because Cody is so calculated and it's actually like really disturbing.
Right, right. And I'll even add on to what you were saying about Jen. One of the precarious parts of being in a position where Jen is, Mary is so strong, um, and so bullheaded about what she wants and determined to get what she wants. I'll say it that way.
Mhm.
That I can see a scenario where if Jen were to come out and say, Mary, this isn't working out. Girl, let me just run the list of the things that this dude is doing to you and why he's wrong and why he doesn't want you. And it's obvious that he's just manipulating you and keep pulling you back in. Like he kicks you out, he's like, he's fly fishing you. He's casting you out. He lets you sit in the water for a little bit, then he pulls you back, flip you over his shoulder, and throw you out a little further. Like
Right.
he just keeps doing that to you. And you're not a yo-yo, so stop it. But if you
Yeah.
do that with this type of relationship, you can find yourself in a situation where you're now arguing with your friend who sees you as the legit enemy. Like, you're trying to keep me from happiness. You're trying to tell me all this stuff and turn me against Cody and my relationship. You just don't want me to be happy. You
Right.
must be jealous. And now you're having that ridiculous conversation. So I can see both sides of it. And I still agree that this might be the time when Jen is like, thank goodness it's coming to a close. And now that she's halfway out the door, I'm just going to keep reminding her
Mm,
of why she needs to keep going. Don't turn around. Don't look back. Don't look over your shoulder.
yeah.
Because if you look at him, he's going to pull you right back in. So just keep
Well,
looking.
so I'm not saying I don't have proof of anything, right? And we know the
Mm,
timeline is all fucked this season. We don't know
right.
when shit was filmed. But Janelle is wearing the same outfit from her lunch with Cody that she wears to her conversation at Mary's. She's wearing the same outfit.
Right.
Meri is wearing the same outfit that she was wearing in that conversation with Janelle that she's wearing in this scene at Robin and Cody's. So,
What? Really?
yes, she's wearing the same
Oh,
sweatshirt
shit.
at least. So did she go? So did it go? Janelle has lunch with Cody. To Janelle scurries over to, because this is what it looks like to me, right? Janelle scurries over to Mary's, has this conversation, and then Meri hightails it over to the McMansion. That's what it looks like to me.
Jeez.
Maybe
That's
maybe
terrible.
they're outfit repeaters. I don't know.
Right, right. Maybe, yeah, maybe that's the, sometimes, especially when you're young, you get that one outfit, you be like, this going to kill him. So you
Well,
just keep
yeah,
going.
and Janelle's she is nothing if not practical. She is jet setting these days. She is splitting time in North Carolina. She might have like that's my Flagstaff outfit. I don't know, right? So
Uh,
I'm not saying anything, but oh, Tiffany says Meri had black pants on with Janelle and jeans at Cody's house. Oh, okay. So
okay. I hope that, look, I'm going to say it like this. I hope you're wrong. Because if not, that would just mean that, Janelle gets the info, the 411 about Cody trying to screw him over. She hightails it over to Mary's house to let Mary know. And then her fear about Mary going back and talking to Cody and Robin is realized because the first thing Mary does is hop her, all right, Janelle, I'll see you later. Thanks for stopping by. Cody, Robin, got to talk to you. And she hightail her way back over there. That would be rough. That would be rough.
yeah.
So, yeah. Ugh.
I know when
Ugh.
I was like, "Oh my god." Thank you Tiffany for pointing that out though that she was wearing different pants because and I think Sam 916 says same sweatshirt's not a big deal. Yeah, like I'll throw
Yeah.
on the same sweatshirt. It's not a big
Right,
deal.
right.
But I was like this is crazy if this is how this went down. Like in one day of filming, we have Janelle and Cody, then Janelle trying to warn Meri, and then Meri tattling right away.
Right, right. Well, I mean, on one side, you could say they need to all get together in the same room to have the conversation.
Yes.
But on the other side, it seems like they're all having the same conversation just at different times. Like,
Yeah.
so that's a little that's a little sad. But holy smokes, holy jizowie. Let me get some super chats in. We got Tracy's Fractured History and More, $1.99 super sticker. Thank you so
You.
much. Sticker bam. All right. Then we have Tanya Johnson, $2 super chat. Thank you so much, Tanya. You
Tanya.
too, Rock. Love your work. Thank you so much. I appreciate you guys. Let me give you a little something. Something. Give you a little applause. Thank you guys so much for that. But yeah, oh man, that would be terrible. But then what is it? No, no, no. Okay, so at this time when they were sitting there, Mary was sitting there talking to her two friends, Jen and this gentleman. I gotta find out what that guy's name is.
Blair.
What is it?
Blair.
Blair. Okay, so
Yeah.
she's sitting there with Blair and Jen. She talks about how Cody obviously go to Cody because they do the confessional, and Cody talks about how they haven't slept in the same bed for like 8 or 9 years, and even when they go on vacation, they get like two. If they stay in the same room, they have two separate beds. That it's just rough. But he
Okay.
did
So
reveal
I'm gonna have
what?
a potentially hot take, potentially unpopular opinion. I don't know. Um, I actually don't have a problem with married people not sharing a bed if that's what works for them.
Hmm.
Um, when my husband and I go on vacation and get hotel rooms, if we can get 2 queen beds, we do because we like to be alone together. It's just like I can starfish. It's like just a little it's like if I'm going to go on vacation, I'm going to go on vacation, right? I love my
Okay.
husband. I know people that are married that have guest rooms, and every once in a while, if one spouse is snoring, the other might scurry off into the guest room to get like a peaceful night of sleep. So I
Right.
don't necessarily, on its face, think that that's all that weird, but just knowing the nature of Cody and Mary's relationship, it's like, okay, but that's not. It's not like you weren't sleeping in the same bed because you're sick of sleeping in the same bed. It's you're not
Right.
sleeping in the same bed because Cody is darn near physically repulsed. So,
Right. Right. Well, because I agree with Mama Squirrel said Mary gets no vitamin D. Like at the end of the day, I
mhm.
think part of the reason why the relationship struggled and eventually why Christine's relationship struggled is because they were both vitamin D deficient. So so they both try to find a new dealer so that they can get hooked up. Christine was successful. Mary, she found a little temporary spot that she was hitting, but it is what it is. But I think that I don't have an issue with people sleeping in separate beds or their sleeping arrangements or how they get down. How you get down is how you get down, whether it's in separate beds, beds with multiple people. Well, you do you, boo boo. But I think that the fact that Mary wanted to be in the bed with him and he absolutely refused to do it for her,
Yeah.
and that's where it becomes hard.
Oh,
You
totally.
know,
You know that like if they're sharing a hotel room, Mary is probably dropping Mary can't help when they're moving, dropping all these like innuendo and stuff. And Cody is like deflecting them ever so awkwardly. Like he is so uncomfortable. And I
right?
can't imagine what it'd be like if like no cameras and they're in a hotel room together. It must have been so awkward. Cody's probably like
Right.
pretending he's asleep.
Yeah, yeah. Well, because that's the thing too. Because I noticed in the trailer for next week while she's pulling some kind of thing onto the truck with a dolly or whatever, she
Yeah.
backed the tank up on him. You know what I mean? Like so, it I, if you're in the same room and you're attracted to somebody, you know, I can see where it could get hyper awkward. Like all of a sudden, like if you guys are laying in the same bed, or even if you guys have separate beds, but you're sharing the same room, I guess for budgetary reasons. I don't know why you would do that if you don't want to be in there with somebody. But okay, you're sharing the same room. All of a sudden, Mary's wearing the good drawers. You know what I mean? Like stuff like that is happening. Like
Yeah.
she come out and she's not dressed yet. Like, what are you doing? Why are you wearing your underwear? Oh, because I'm just getting comfortable. That kind of stuff.
Exactly.
So I don't know. At the end of the day, you know, I would say this, and this is one of this is guy code. This is one of the things I would talk to with my buddies. If I had a friend that just got married or whatever, there's certain things you just don't do if you don't want certain things to happen. Like you just don't take the risk. Like if you're a married guy and you want to stay faithful to your wife, you don't go hang out or drive people back to their houses. You know what I mean? Because one thing could lead to another. You drive back to their house. Next thing you know, you're going to get some, let me get a little something to drink. We'll keep the party going. And we're going to get some coffee. Next thing you know, you trying to explain some stuff the
I was
next morning
gonna say
at 3, 4 o'clock in the morning.
just the perception of impropriety is enough, right? To
Right, right.
avoid that situation. Yeah.
Exactly. You just stay away from it. But like same, if Cody is determined to demonstrate to Mary that he doesn't want her, then you don't go on vacation with her. You don't go spend a night in her in a hotel room with her. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? Things like that. You don't go drinking with her. Like, hey, let's go get drunk together at a hotel. We're gonna spend the weekend at the Grand Canyon. I'm gonna get ass loaded, and then we're gonna go back to the hotel room because I'm getting tired. Like, come on, man. Like this, there's no way she's not thinking it. It's about to go down. So it's just a disservice. So if you don't plan on doing anything, and there's that I think Cody would use the quiet excuse of, well, I didn't agree to do anything. I told her I don't want to do anything, and it's not my fault, which he actually said. Remember, he said that if I like her and I fall in love with her, that's somehow my fault that I fell in love with her or whatever he said, that whole
Oh yeah,
confusing
and if
thing.
she makes me want to serve her, that's her fault or something, whatever.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly. And there is a point where I can agree with that to a point because you're not in control of somebody else's feelings or emotions, but you can take responsibility. If you know that somebody likes you and you know they really want to be with you, then you don't do things to make them think that it's a possibility that's going to happen. Because
Mm.
there's a certain level of cruelty that's involved with that. Like he's just being cruel at that point, unnecessarily cruel. Like there's no reason why you would do that to a person. Hurt people, hurt people. I guess that's the reason. But other than that, come on, what are you doing? Like you just try to make her cry for practice? Because that's the only thing I can see you getting out of it.
Yeah, it's like at some point it's like where's the humanity, Cody? Like where do you not have an internal trigger where you feel bad? Like it reminds me of like if you're getting in a fight if you're getting in a fight with anyone, a friend, a spouse, a family member, and it's like at some point it usually clicks on that it's like, oh, this is like my whoever that I love so much. Like, let's try to work our way back to homeostasis. But with
Mm,
Cody, it's like that never clicks for him. Like, this not only is this someone you're supposed to love and be your family member, but this is just another human being. And one human
right,
being should not treat another human being that way.
right. Yeah, what goes around comes around, though. You know what I mean? And I can see
Well,
Robin doing the same
but
thing
we're
to his
still
ass.
waiting for it to come around for Cody because so far, all I'm seeing is this dude just sold one house for 1.7 mil. No word yet on how that's getting divvied up, if at all. He's still sitting on Coyote Pass, and he just bought a $2 million house.
Right,
So I'm
right,
still waiting for karma or someone up there to smite this motherfucker. And
right.
it's been a
It's
long
still
wait. I'm I'm
rolling.
I'm faithful that it's going to happen, but it's just been a long wait.
Right. Well, I got some good news and some bad news.
Okay.
Some good news is I am coming out with a video not tomorrow, but probably Wednesday, because I have one scheduled for tomorrow. Uh but yeah, I got one coming out on Wednesday that I think will explain a lot of why Cody is getting away with this financially. You know what I
Okay.
mean?
All
Yeah, so
right.
it's a little crazy. I think it's gonna be a little controversial because it's not good news. It's kind of like jacked up.
Well,
Uh,
I mean,
so
I would love to know why,
yeah, yeah, but I think I figured it out. Like it's
All right.
jacked up. Like I went to a dark place to get this information. Like, what would I do if I was evil James? Not even dark James, like evil James who's just trying to do evil things because I'm an evil guy. What would I do if I was in Cody's position? How would I get around it? And I think I figured it out. So I'm going to drop that video and then we'll see what happens.
All right. I can't wait to see it.
This might be my last week on YouTube. Y'all, nah, I'm just well, let me get some. Let's get some super chats in. Uh, we have uh, Christina S. Single for 1 month versus 10 years.
That was so. If anyone word on the street, James, is that best friend Jen has me blocked. And that's not just word on the street, that's actual fact. I don't know why, but she blocked me on Instagram.
Did
And
she?
yes, I've never interacted with her. I don't know why I'm blocked. But anyways, on the one hand, I'm like, fuck you then. But on the other hand, I'm like, I love best friend Jen. So, girl,
Right.
if you ever see this, unblock me. Let's be friends.
Well, at least she knows who you are. That says a lot.
Yeah, but
If
I'm
you have
like,
to know
what did
who
I
you are to block
do?
you.
I don't even know what I did. I don't even know if I've ever talked about her other than positively. So I don't
Right.
know.
I'm kind of curious now. Like I'm about to check it out. See if I'm
I know because
if
like
you're
Meri
I'm definitely
tagged
blocked.
her in something, and I like clicked on her like at, and it like was like this user does not exist, and I was like, oh, I was
Oh
like, oh
wow.
shit.
You know what? I haven't seen anything from her. Um yeah, I might be blocked too.
Maybe you're guilty by association, James.
All right. Or they might
Like
disagree
that's
with the
that
fact
guy
that
that goes live with Sarah.
all right. Get
Block
rid
him
of both
too.
of them. Uh-oh. It's not coming up. Oh wait, I got a best friend Jen.
Her handle is like just Jen really or something like that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Let me see. Oh, okay. I think I might still be in there.
All right.
Okay, yeah.
Play it
Yeah,
low key.
yes,
Play
you
it
can.
low key. Don't get
Don't
too,
get too frisky.
yeah. Don't get too
Maybe-
spicy with your commentary on Jen. Or
Right? Maybe
do,
I'm just not
because
big enough.
honestly, I don't know what happened.
Right? So like, oh, blocking all the sister wife people. You know, I'm just not, I haven't hit a radar yet. That's all.
Yeah.
But maybe I will this week because I got one coming out talking about Mary or accusations about Mary. So I might be on it this week. So I won't speak too soon. But
Yeah.
thank you. But
Mary
I do
hasn't
appreciate you.
blocked me. So that, I mean, I guess there's that.
I know you would think that the person you're talking about would actually block you
Yeah.
and not our friend, but but I agree with the single for 1 month versus 10 years. Like I think that it was kind of telling that Mary is still hold on to the fact of like, oh, I'm newly single and I just got divorced a month ago. And Jen is like, look, you haven't been with Cody for at least 10 years. You know,
Jen seems like now that the dam is open, she just has so much shit she wants to say about
yeah,
about Cody, about like because she was really bringing it during those like look back, talk back specials or whatever. Um,
hmm
it was hilarious having her input. Like she was actually saying the things that like us as audience members, if we were in Meri's orbit, we would be saying to Meri. So it was nice to
right.
see her saying those things.
Right. It definitely a lot of like there's a lot of retreading of things that have been talked about in various videos throughout
Yeah.
the Sister Wives run and tenure, and even down at like if you check into the comment or chat sections, usually it's somebody saying the exact same thing that Jen was saying.
Yeah.
Um, even down to Christina S. Yeah, so that's why a lot of her commentary, it's not that it's exceptionally different or unique. It's just echoing a lot of the thoughts and sentiments of the fan base. You know,
Mhm.
like you said, if we were sitting there with we would be like, yes, sister, yeah. What
Yeah.
are you talking about? New divorce? What do you what?
Yeah.
But we also have one from Raiders Ma at $99 Super Chat. Thank you so much. Mary snitched on Janelle to have one more drive with Cody.
First of all, even if she didn't snitch that day, even if that didn't play out how I kind of hope it did, but even if it didn't go down like that, I still fully believe that Meri probably did tell Cody about
Yeah.
because what we are learning is that Cody's a big shit talker and just
Mhm.
he loves to go from one house to one house and just, kiki with his wives
Right.
about his other wives.
Right. And that's the show. That's why he wants
Yeah,
Mary still on the show because he needs
yeah.
that bounce back. But thank you so much, Raiden Ma. I agree.
Thank you.
That was the fare on the Cody ferry for him to pay. Before it was like 2 coins to the ferryman to get Cody to go. You gotta give him a little taste of information. So
Yep.
there's that. And then finally we have Jesse Nacho Business 86 $4.99 super
I
chat.
like that.
Not your business. Mary got vitamin D enough to string her along. No one hangs over that long for nothing. Maybe it's
Yeah,
just the memory of it.
I mean, like Mary really has shown the world what hanging on to a morsel looks like, right? Because
Right.
I mean, most people, even when they're being strung along, require more than Mary accepted. She really accepted the bare minimum, barely
Yeah.
even qualify anything Cody gave her as a compliment. And she was like, yeah, okay, let's do this.
Right, right, right. I'm still here in case you want me.
Yeah.
That savory turkey. So it is what it is. Well, let me give you guys a little something, something. All right. Not like a little jokey joke. But there was something that Cody had said during the course of this, where he said that he had forgave Mary for the whole catfish incident.
Mm,
So he had looked past it, and he found it in his heart to forgive Mary about the catfish. But then Mary had also revealed during the course of this conversation that Cody had given her kind of a honeydew list of things that she needed to improve about herself so
yes.
that eventually they could end up together. What did you think about it when you heard that? Were you did you have the what the shit
Well, just like
reaction?
reaction to the finding out about this text thread, I'm like, release the list. Like,
Right,
tell us
right,
to listen. What made me sad, on a human level, I cannot like Mary. I could say that Mary and I would probably never be friends, but I can objectively say that the way Mary has been treated has been real gnarly, real nasty.
right.
And it made me really sad that when she said, I did everything on the list and I realized like he still wasn't going to be coming around.
Hmm.
Like
Hmm.
that was superfluous. That was inconsequential. That list. It was just it was a busy list to keep her off doing other things and not bugging him.
Right, right. Well, because I kind of touched on this yesterday. Actually, I might do a video explaining it out a little more. But at the end of the day, I think that the thing that I took from it was an example of why you can't change who you are for somebody else to be with somebody else. Because at the end of the day, no matter how much you change for somebody and they want you to be this one more thing or this different type person, so you change yourself to become the type of person that they want, half the time, as crazy as it is, you'll work yourself to the bone and change who you are fundamentally to be with this person, to make this person happy. And then when you finally accomplish the change that they want, the metamorphosis that they've so desire, at the end of the day, they'll look at you and say, you know what? I thought that's what I wanted, but I don't like that.
Right.
Or you become this thing and I don't like it on you. You know what I mean? It's not that I don't like it. I just I don't like it on you, and they
Mhm.
wind up going somewhere else. So this is one of those weird instances where, as parents, you always tell your kids, don't ever change for somebody and be yourself. And that's the key thing. If they're going to like who you are, let them like you for you and not like you because you're pretending to be somebody else. Because
Mhm.
at the end of the day, you're going to go back to being you. This
Mhm.
is that. This is that a classic example of that. You can work yourself for years and years and years to become something for somebody else. And at the end of the day, the only person you have at the end is you. Because you are going to be who you are. And they're going to either like you or they won't based on who you are. So if they don't like you, they like you, get on. If they don't like you, then they can get off. And you can keep it trucking, keep it pushing.
Mhm.
So I mean that's kind of where I was when I watched it. I was like, what? What? And she's like, I did all this work. I gave him all the things. And she basically laid it out. I checked all the boxes that he wanted me to check.
Yeah.
Sometimes it could be a physical thing. Girl, I need you to do this. And girl, we need to go to the bar and pick up some other people. And girl, I need you to blah blah blah. And you do all these extra things that you normally wouldn't do, and he wound up doing it, and he breaks up with you because you did it. Like so, you know, change because you want to change. Don't change for nobody else. That was my whole
Yeah.
takeaway with that. But oh, so uh, we talked a little bit about David and Christine,
Mm,
right? And in a conversation about with David and Christine, we had the whole thing about them moving fast and moving in with each other. Uh, and we kind of touched on Isabel. Um, did you, let's drill down on that a little bit. Isabel was crying and upset, and I think that this was a very moving thing and a very telling thing about Isabel's relationship with Cody. Um, One of the things, my first thought on it was Cody has spent the entirety of season 19 so far complaining how none of his kids want anything to do with him.
mm,
And what this one scene, it's all been undone by one child in one scene. What this one scene demonstrates is that he has, and I know Isabel isn't alone in this, he has children that are looking for and begging for a relationship with him if he would just pick up the damn phone and call them.
mhm,
You know what I mean? But it's not the way he wants with the people he wants, so he's not interested. But
mhm.
you have people who are more than willing to have those relationships. Did you have any thoughts on that? Did you like because that was like a pretty deep moment for Isabel.
Yeah, it honestly, it's heartbreaking because I think all of these kids are such amazing kids and they deserve. I mean, it's really Cody's loss, right? That he doesn't get to know these people. These kids are so phenomenal in spite of him,
Hmm.
not because of him. And
Right.
it's really sad. And then, I think Isabel is at an age where she's kind of processing like what she's you can tell that Gabe has kind of come out the other side because we saw Gabe break down in past couch interviews
Mm.
about like his dad forgetting getting his birthday and stuff, and Isabel has had to deal with like her dad not going to her surgery and like why is he not there, like we want him to be there, why is he not there, why aren't we good enough type of.
Right.
That's where she's at, and Gabe has kind of come out on the other side and being like, you know what, it is what it is.
Mm.
And I lost my grandfather to Alzheimer's, and one of the things that is talked about in like support groups is making peace with like the death of a family member that's still alive. Not like a very weird thing.
Right.
Because they're not the family member that you know, but they're not actually dead yet, right? So it's a
Mm.
very weird position to be in. I think Isabel is kind of in this position of making peace with that her dad is not and will never be the dad she thought that she would have in her life.
Right. Right. Well, because I had mentioned yesterday when I was watching it during the after party that one of the more challenging things, because like we talk about the surgery, and a lot of us have talked about it. It's a frequent talk about, brought up conversation or topic on a lot of the boards, but there's an aspect of it that when you listen to Isabel talk about that surgery and she regards her father, one of the things that really is crazy to me, Cody had insisted, like he stood on the porch and basically told Isabel, "Look, I can't go to your surgery because even though this is important to you, I can't be away from my family for that long." Right? He looked her in the face and told her that,
Mhm.
and it was rough. But later in the couch confessional, Isabel sat there and said, "You know, my dad is so brave and he's so strong And I don't know why he's so afraid. And she made all kinds of excuses at the same time while she was building him up and praising him for his strength, his caring, his compassion, and all these wonderful things. And then all that kind of crashes down because, like I talked about yesterday, when you're growing up, as an adolescent and a young person coming up, you see your parents, and there's a natural rivalry with your parents, right? And in
Mhm.
order for you to break into your manhood, your womanhood, or whatever, you kind of have to go through your parents. And while you're doing that, there's a point where you realize that your parents aren't superheroes, that they're people just like you, and
Yeah.
that they're fallible. And I think that where Isabel is now, she's coming to the realization that not only is her father fallible, but he is, you know, not a just a absent father or father who wasn't really present, but he's a neglectful father. He's a bad parent, especially when you have an example of what a good parent actually is.
I was
Because for all this time, she thought they had that.
I was just thinking, I wonder if part of what is so upsetting for her now is her seeing, like in real life, the anti her dad, like does that make the situation worse for her? I mean,
Mhm.
like, not that David should have to act shitty or act like but it's almost like now truly is getting an actual full-time father figure, and Isabel still didn't get any of that.
Right, right. Yeah, it's the what is it? Comparison is the killer of joy. And
Yeah.
she's going to compare, like, the reality of it is she's going to compare her life to the lives of David's children. And the
Oh,
ironic part is that David is a father whose wife is no longer here, but he's still more present for his kids than her father, who is here and
yeah.
has mothers who are hyper involved with their lives.
Well,
Yeah,
and
you know what I mean?
you just know that Cody threw around all the time, oh, like, that's your mom's job, or that's so and so's job. Like, I don't do that. I'm the dad. I go out and work, or I do this. Like, he definitely played on traditional gender roles to get out of being a present parent, right?
Hmm.
And so it must be kind of a mind twist for Isabel to see this dad that got widowed and raised 8 kids by himself, has now 10 grandkids, and is super involved in their life. Like, oh, and he like ran his own business too. What?
Right, right. Well, that and the fact that if you calculate it all into it as well, David is at least he comes off to be. I can't say for sure because I don't know, but the way they're presenting him, he's a present father, and that's by design because he had to be because of the structure that he was tossed into. Maybe not by choice, but that was his life, and therefore that's what he did. Whereas with Cody, it's not just the fact that he wasn't around, but Cody had designed his life and lifestyle to be such that when he comes over to the first wife's house, if there's an issue or a problem, he abandons that first wife, goes on to the second wife the next night. And if she has an issue or a problem, he goes on to the third wife and then to the fourth wife. And then hopefully by the time he gets back around to wife number one, whatever the issue was, whatever the problem was, hopefully she's figured it out, solved it, and I no longer have to deal with it. So
Mhm.
Cody has created an environment where he doesn't really have to deal with any of the parenting issues or any of the real issues or day-to-day issues for any of his kids because he would always just bounce off. All you got to do really is that, especially if you're showing up around anywhere from 6 to 8 o'clock, and the kids, respectively, may be in bed by 10 or 11 if they're like teens, or maybe younger if they're younger earlier. So you only really have to deal with them for a short window, and all you got to do is try to figure out how you're going to deal with them for this little bit of time before you go to bed. Oh, I'm tired. I got to get up early tomorrow. You go to bed, get up, crack it butt ass early, you just run out the house, and you
Yeah.
don't have to deal with any of the problems. You know what I mean? And watch, rinse, repeat. So she's I think she's confronted by the realities of what a relationship could be, and especially
Mhm.
watching somebody else. Oh, my dad, I had a surgery. My mom went with me, and to have David's kids, kids talk like, oh, my dad would never let me go by myself. you know, he'd have bought the whole plane out. He'd have rented a private jet if it was like that. If he was so concerned and so scared about it,
I know.
you know.
The most frustrating thing was watching Cody bitch about Janelle and Christine traveling and taking vacations and blah blah blah. During COVID, Janelle, little Evie, Madison's daughter, had to have limb surgery. Like,
Yeah, she
that's
had
not
education.
vacation. Isabel had to
Yeah,
have her spinal surgery. Also, not a vacation. The
no,
other traveling that Christine was doing was to visit family members. Like, she
right.
wasn't going to Bora Bora to like just thumb her nose at the pandemic. And that's what
Right.
Cody made it seem like.
Yeah, and part of the reason why we also have to keep in mind too, just to keep things in context, we also have to keep in mind that part of the reason why I think that they were going to these places to be with family was because Cody had determined a rule that they could no longer be with each other.
Yeah.
So you told them that they had to stay separate. They couldn't come around. They had to stay isolated, and they were going crazy staying isolated because they were such a communal family. And so you can't have somebody who's hyper social, like they're always out, they're always doing things, and then you tell them that they have to stay in a room for months at a time. That will drive them crazy. They can't do it. They just can't do it. So
Yeah.
I understand. Like I see where the
And then that's the
it was
other
kind
thing
of
that
written.
breaks my heart is that they put out these expectations like we can get together as a family if da 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 da. And it's basic. And Meri did all that. And the other thing but okay, Isabel broke my heart in this episode. And then the other thing that broke my heart was when Meri said, it would be nice if I flew somewhere, someone asked, did you make
Did
it
you make it?
okay?
Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
You just
Yeah.
think about the fact that for what, a year at least, Meri sat in that house by herself and did not see a soul except for the filming for the show.
Right. Well, actually, even that they were doing self filming. If you
Right.
remember, like
Right.
so the sad like to me the saddest part was if Barry would have went down the steps, like if there was some accident, some rando accident at the house, they wouldn't have found her till the springtime. You know what I mean? When the body started rotting, like
That's such
it
a
would have
good
been
point.
terrible.
Yeah, and it made me sad when she had to drive by herself to
Your mom's funeral,
her
yeah,
mom's. And and that's not to say that Meri is like the type of person I would even be friends with, cuz probably not. But I do see like how we see with Blair and with Jen that Meri is the type of person that's capable of having very close friendships. I believe it was Gwen on her Patreon that said Meri very much has like a found family because her family has never been family, has never acted
hmm
like a family to her. But I have to imagine that part of it is because it's hard to get along with people that are screwing your husband.
right,
I
right.
wouldn't be besties with women that were screwing my husband either. So I like in that regard, I don't blame Meri for that. But I see that she's capable of being like a good friend. And so I want Meri to have someone that says, did you make it okay? That's like
hmm
bare minimum.
Right. And the sad part is that, and this is kind of where I was with with even with talking about Christine being so excited about her new relationship with David, like some of the stuff that she's excited about is standard. Like, it's base model stuff. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, oh, this car got power windows. Yeah, all cars have power windows now. It's very rare you get a crank window.
Yeah.
Like it's things that you're excited about, the things that you really shouldn't be excited about. Oh, you got power door locks. Every car has power door locks. I'm a magician. I can raise and lower the locks and the windows anytime I want. Like it's just base model stuff. Like base model relationships. Guys will call you to make sure that you got to your, just basic. Like I don't even think you should get credit for that. Like that's how basic that is. Opening the door, pulling the chair. You should get credit for that. It's basic stuff. So it's sad, and what makes it sad to me isn't the fact that she's missing it, but the fact that she recognizes that she doesn't have those things, and
And
that
that
she desperately wants it.
it's been 10 years. It's
Hmm.
been so long. And I almost feel like if I was Meri, I would feel like I just served like a prison sentence or something. Like
Right.
I think of like the Menendez brothers, right? Who have spent like 35 years in jail and they're like maybe could be on the brink of perhaps getting a parole, which we never thought would happen for them. That's a whole conversation.
Right.
Does not pertain to this discussion, but like you think of like 35 years, like if they Gypsy Rose, another controversial figure who spent 10, like that is like a chunk of your life that you're never going to get back. And
Mhm.
I feel like it's almost been like that for Meri. Like she's, Christine talks about being 50 and not like what I think part of what drives Christine to move so fast is she doesn't want to let more of her life pass her by. And I can respect that. I understand that.
Right.
And I have to think that Meri probably feels the same way. You know who I'm confident doesn't feel that way? Janelle. I think Janelle is just like totally chill. If it happens, it happens. If it doesn't, it doesn't.
Right. Right. Yeah, she's past it. But I
Yeah.
think it's also what's important to you. And a lot of things that Christine and Mary were missing are the physical portions of the relationship that they
Yeah.
just weren't being fulfilled with.
Yeah.
Um, Janelle, I think that's a different story. Like I think, Cody enjoyed going over to Janelle's house, and I think she enjoyed hosting. So I think that relationship was a little different. So she's not necessarily love starved because she's been in that position. Whereas Mary has been denied that, and then Christine had in turn been denied that for a number of years. So, you know, I think it's sad. It's a sad situation. But moving away from the David, Christine, and Isabel situation at the new home, which it was a nice house. The new house is actually nice. I like this the new place that they
I'm
just had built.
pissed that we didn't get like the deets or like we didn't get to tour it. I mean, I suppose we're
Right.
gonna like see them film inside it, but I'm like, we just saw all these houses that you hated. And then it was like, oh, boop, we bought a house. Did you buy
Yeah.
it from
Yeah.
this realtor that like never gave a shit that you didn't want a 2-car garage? But like,
Did you find another realtor, a successful one?
yeah.
But from what I understand, like the like just as I was able to find some information on it. It's like was it 43 or 4,700 square feet. It's
Wow.
got unobstructed mountain views of like two mountains as
Wow.
well as the river. So it's a nice piece of property.
Okay, so
Yeah.
that rivals the McMansion. Certainly.
Right, right.
I mean,
Yeah, and I think that's why they opted to go ahead and sell the McMansion and get a bigger house.
yeah.
But bigger isn't necessarily nicer, and that's kind of one of the weird things about it as well. Because as you start to get older, having a big house is cool, but
Mhm.
when you start to get older, you have to clean and maintain a big ass house. That's the downside. And that's usually why people who have big houses, as they start to get older, a lot, and as their kids start to move away, they choose to sell those big homes and move into like the rancher style homes or places where they don't have a whole bunch of steps to climb up and down, or a whole lot of rooms to clean.
Yeah.
So smaller properties, they don't have a whole bunch of grass to cut.
My husband and I, we specifically opted for a one-bedroom house or a one-bedroom, a one-story house for that reason.
Right,
Because when we're older, I'm not going to want to do stairs.
right,
So,
right.
yeah.
Don't want to do stairs and you don't want to move, so might
Yeah.
as well get it now.
Yeah.
Out the way. And
Yeah.
that would be paid off at your 2.7% interest rate.
Yeah, exactly.
You don't have to worry about trying to buy and refinance a big ass house with like a crazy interest rate. 12%.
No.
But as we move into I guess the last thing we'll cover for the evening, the Mary coming over to talk with Robin and Cody about the big move, where she revealed that, even in line with not having anybody to call when she gets to her location, she says that she's been trying to contact Robin because she wants to meet with the kids and see the kids, but Robin has been denying her, which
Yeah.
is also something that she was saying during the time of like post COVID. She wanted to hang out with her and the kids, and Robin had been ducking the phone calls. So Robin has been ducking the phone calls, which flies in the face. And I'll open this up in a second, but it flies directly in the face of something Robin says, and she sits there and cries and complains about when I vote, like what she said on the porch with one kick the wood, and she does all that stuff. You got a sister wife who wants to hang out with you and your kids.
James, that was
So
a dead on impression. That was phenomenal.
my thespian experience. Thank
I
you.
want to
Thank you.
clip that and I want that to open our shows from now on.
Well, sister Wolf. Yeah, but that's all she ever says, and that's all she ever talks about.
Her
But
perfect
do you have a sister wife
Christmas
who wants to be with
morning
her?
that was ruined.
Mm-hmm.
You just
Yeah,
couldn't
because she wouldn't
afford
come
to
over.
buy as much shit this year, is what you're saying.
With all the wives leaving, you got to bring them back. You know what I mean? Fly fish them. But
Yeah.
there is a point that I thought about even last night. Um, and I wanted to get your perspective on it. Do you remember when Christine was leaving, and and they went over to that sad ass party that McKelty insisted on, and
Yeah.
and they were all standing around looking like strange, looking like Catholic schools, boys on one side, girls on the other side.
It's like a middle school dance.
Right, exactly. And what did Ariella say to Christina? It was something along the lines of
Let's go on dates.
"Go on dates.
Yeah.
Why are you leaving Daddy? Because sometimes the relationship doesn't work out. Go on dates." You remember that?
Yep.
And do you also remember that when she met with Mary yesterday, or I guess not yesterday, but when Mary came over and it was revealed that she was moving, we can get into the whole hiding it away from the kids thing in a minute. But when they called all the kids in and Mary revealed that she was moving, what did Isabel say? She Why are you moving, Miss Mary?
Yeah.
Because even as much as Robin talks about these women being her sister wives and being her kids' moms and them sharing parenting with the kids and all that other stuff, her kids don't see Mary as another parent. They don't see her as a mother. So when she was talking about moving away, when Christine talked about moving away, it's you're breaking up with my daddy. You guys need to go on more dates
Hmm.
because you need to get yourselves together so you can stay together. But there was never any mention of Cody and Mary as a couple
Right.
at all in front of little Ariella. But what do you think about that?
Well, none of the OG3 were ever parents or parental figures to Robin's kids. I will
Right.
say that I think that the OG kids absolutely view Mary as a mother figure.
Mhm.
Um, so I think Mary actually is, she views all of the kids as her kids. Now questionable parenting techniques and all that, that's a whole other conversation, but Robin never let her kids be parented by the other wives.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it showed during the course of Mary's departure, even though, like I said, it flies in the face of Robin's contention and position that she has always backed the wives and supported the wives and wanted them to be considered sister wives and mothers and part of one big family. But it's not realized in practice when it comes to her kids. And it's an example of it not being in practice because, pets and kids will tell on you because that's what they're used to and they're going to be honest. And in Ariella's honest position, she didn't say, Mama, why are you leaving? She basically said, Miss Meri, why are you leaving? Why are you moving away? It didn't even really matter to her because at the end of the day, she was used to Meri living, I guess, in the state, but it's not like she was seeing Meri. So it's not like her life is going to change because Meri moves away. She might actually see her more, because if she comes into town, they actually make time for each other. But but I guess speaking of which, the last point I think I wanted to cover, and I could be wrong, but when Meri sat down and was talking to her, Robin, Ariella was sitting there, but Robin had said, out of protection for her kids, saying that she wanted to protect her kids, is this about the M word? And Meri said, yeah. And she made Ariella leave the conversation. Did you have any first blush thoughts on that situation?
Well, okay, so Ariella's at that point in time, what, 6 or 7 years old?
Right,
Like, she can't over she can't overhear a conversation about moving.
right, right, right.
All
And
right.
she's and at that time she was about a year, 2 years older than she was when Christina left. So
Yeah,
she can talk about the sex lives of her parents, but she can't listen
exactly.
to a basic stranger moving away.
Yeah. Like, all right,
One
Robin.
more dates, make more babies. Right. I see you, Robin. All
Yeah.
right. I mean, if that's what we're doing. But
Really,
I guess my
Mary's conversation was about like logistics. It wasn't about
mhm,
like interpersonal relationships. It was like, I'm moving. Cody, can you drive a truck? That was the
right,
conversation.
right, right. And there also is a point too where you like I said this yesterday, but I think that there's a point where you can protect your kids too much. And
Oh,
the way
sure.
Robin is trying to go about it, like I don't want my kids to be disappointed at all. I want to protect them. But all you're doing is creating a sense of uncertainty because Mary moving, if you got like she's already been talking about moving and you knew she was going to move for a while. And instead of you going home and explaining it to your kids, well, guys, just so you know that in the next few months or so, maybe by June or July, Mary's Miss Mary or whatever they call her is going to move. Miss Brown is moving away,
Yeah.
and you prepare your kids. You let your kids adjust that way. But this is just like the Las Vegas move or the Arizona move, where you have this source of information, and you don't want to stress your kids out, so you wait to the very last minute to drop it on them, so instead of them being stressed out and figuring a way to deal with it, you stress them the hell out and blow them the hell out when you drop this big bombshell news on them. Like so, it's weird. Like it's very weird to me.
That's just the norm for Cody and Robin, especially Cody is very much like throw a huge grenade on his family and then give them no time to process. Luckily for Ari and Saul and Dayton, Aurora, and Brianna, this doesn't change anything for them. It's
Right.
probably going to be less weird because they don't have to hug and get all emotional on a stranger for cameras anymore.
Mhm. Right. Right. And that's the weird thing too is that at the end of the day, if you can't tell them about Mary moving, what do you talk to them about?
They
Like because Mary is
clearly
not that kind
talk a lot of shit because didn't Cody say that Ari said he hated or she hated Christine?
yeah, yeah.
The
So where
only
did she get that
time
from?
a 6 or 7 year old would say that is if because I have a 5 year old. If I'm, saying blah blah blah, I hate so and so, then my 5 year old's gonna be like, I hate so and so.
Right, right.
That's the only
And
time a child that young is gonna be like, I hate someone.
right, right. But they'd also, at that young age, in order for them to retain it and download it to their hard drives, they'd have to hear it on repeat. Like this isn't a
Yes,
one-off conversation. This is
right.
something that they've heard consistently over a period of time. And so, and it might even come down to a point where I kind of get the feeling like there are parents. who talk to their kids in an inappropriate way about inappropriate subjects that really don't involve them and shouldn't involve them. And I kind of get the feeling that this is one of those cases where, they're informed, Christine, yeah, she's not your mother anymore because she doesn't even want to be around you. And so don't you call her mother anymore. And why not? Because she doesn't like you. She doesn't care about you. That's why she's moving away. Like that kind of stuff. And it's abusive in a lot of ways for you to have those kind of conversations. But I can see that being a conversation in Robin and Cody's house about Christine.
Mm-hmm.
And and I guess fortunately, unfortunately, because Cody doesn't care enough about Meri, he doesn't really talk about Meri. So when Ariella hears that Mary's moving, it doesn't really impact her the same way because, Mary's just the lady that comes around every once in a while.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that's mommy's friend,
Yeah.
which is cold blooded. But we got two super chats. Let me get these. Uh, Becca Malvo, 499 super chat. Off topic. Janelle is not financially responsible. She made all the bad decisions with them all. So she's basically saying that Janelle is culpable for some of her
Yes.
decision
Yes.
making. She was involved. Well, I think that she was part of the bad decision making. I can't really alleviate or relieve her of a lot of the responsibility when it comes to that. But I think that part of the cover that she does have is the fact that Cody is the perpetual salesman. Remember when he was talking about if the women want me to do something, they have to sell it to me.
Yes.
And I think that he approaches his relationships with them the same way. So when he convinced them to move to Arizona, he pushed them and he hard sold them on moving to Arizona. When he
Mm-hmm.
told them that they were going to buy a Cody Pass, it was the same thing. When he talked about the McMansion, purchasing the McMansion, it was the same thing. So I don't think she would voluntarily, like I don't think the plans and the schemes and tricks that Cody invested in were things that she would have come up with on her own. But I think that she does hold some responsibility in the fact that she went along with it when he proposed it, but she
Mm-hmm.
didn't fight him tooth and nail to stop it. So,
Mm-hmm.
but thank you for that. And then we have Sarah M with the $5 super chat. Cody
Thank
bought Robin and yeah, thank you so much. Cody bought Robin a new ring that looks very similar to Christine's, especially designed ring with David. Wonder if the house is the same jealousy. Yeah, yeah. I'll be willing to bet. I'll be
Yeah,
willing to bet on
I people were pointing out at last year's tell all that Robin's ring looked really similar, and it does. I mean, it's not like exactly the same, but it's like the twisted mixed metals, like, and the marquee diamond. It's crazy.
that. Comparison is the
Is the thief of joy?
right.
Yes.
That's jacked up. But yeah, I mean, I would be if anything, I would be more creeped out by it if I bought a special gift for my wife is one thing, but if she insisted that I buy her a special gift because her friend has it and she wants the same thing her friend has, that would trouble me. I would be bothered by that. Like,
Mhm.
you know what I mean? Like, that would really bother me. So, but let me give you guys a little something. So overall, what were your thoughts about the episode?
Thought it was a good episode. I think it's so interesting to me what is getting revealed in couch interviews by like Meri and Janelle. And I think it's only going to get like worse for Cody and Robin because I think they're just going
Hmm.
to continue to look worse and worse and worse. If I were Cody or Robin, I probably would quit the show because the like public backlash would just be like way too overwhelming for me. But
Right, right.
and so that also says something about their like personality disorders that they don't
Hmm.
have that like they don't have that like shame factor or embarrassment factor or wanting to atone for misdeeds. That they don't possess that. It's all about
Right.
how much money am I going to make? I can't
Right.
do the show because money.
Hmm. Yeah.
So he will
It's
go through the public like verbal lashings, and if that means ratings are up, that means he can ask for more money. So that's good.
right. Right. Yeah. Well, I think that like between Mary leaving, I think that there's a deadly turn, and this episode really reveals it. I think that there's a deadly turn that Cody and Robin are taking with regard to the show, just in the sense of their characters might get JR. Like this is that JR moment in Dallas. Like where for the old heads know what I'm talking about, but for the young bucks, the JR moment is when in old soap opera, late night soap opera, JR was a guy who got was a popular character and he was wounded on the show, and that
Yes.
was a turn for that character. So with Mary moving, this is going to put heavy burden on Cody and Robin to develop their own independent storylines. One of the things I talked about yesterday during the after party is they're introducing or holding out Ariella as their new storyline. And for me, I think that that's a source of cowardice, just in the sense that you have to be careful that when you put your children into the spotlight that way, you open them up to be criticized, to be ridiculed, to be made fun of. You know what I mean? And it can affect them. It can affect them. If they ever see the show or whatever, some responses to their character on the show, it can hurt them. So you have to be very careful about putting your children out there because not everybody is going to take the same care or concern with talking about young children or young people than maybe somebody else.
Mhm.
So I'm always concerned when I see parents using their children's lives as storylines for their contribution to a reality show. So
Mhm.
I hope that Robin and Cody, you guys are gonna have to put on your big boy panties and big girl panties and stand on your own 2 feet and be brave enough to, if you want to keep drawing these TLC checks, because you got that new mortgage, you have to be willing to expose yourself, and hopefully moving forward they're less willing to expose or put their kids out there that way. Like
Mhm.
having a little cutesy stuff is fine, but trying to rely on them for a storyline because you're too afraid to reveal anything about yourself, so you're putting them out there, I don't think that's appropriate.
Yeah, me neither.
Yeah. But so what do you have coming up this week?
We are going to talk. We're going to talk more about just like Meri.
Okay.
I found her very empathetic this episode. I literally like two videos ago said that Meri was hard to root for. And I stand by that because we can't forget all the things that Meri has done that makes it hard to root for her. But at the end of the day, she still is like a human being, and you just don't like it's like kicking a dog or something. It's so unnecessarily cruel. And so we're going
Right.
to talk more about all the things that Meri revealed in this episode. I thought it was wild that Meri revealed that Robin has essentially ghosted her.
Right. 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 Before I get to my
When
comings up,
out, you have Wednesday
uh,
to talk about the financial deviancy.
yes, I'll be talking about Cody getting away with it possibly, but well, maybe not getting away with it, but I think his line of thinking of why he thinks he can get away with it.
Mhm.
But I'm also going for tomorrow's video. I wanted to try to get it done tonight, but I still have some editing or whatever to do to it. Um, but tomorrow's video, I think that there's a point where Cody is outright coming up to the line where he's accusing Mary of being abusive, and I want to talk about it. I want to drill down into that whole subject matter because there's that point where he said he started using some of the trigger words for therapy or whatever. He said,
Yeah.
she's not safe. the relationship isn't safe. He earlier in the season he talked about how she had uncontrollable anger issues and things of that nature. She was mad all the time and she was explosive. You have the other testimony from other people. So I wanted to explore that a little bit. And
Okay.
just with the caveat of I understand that we've been watching this for 19 seasons and we kind of have a feeling for the players. But when it comes down to it, if you were sitting there talking to a friend, family, or coworker, and you heard somebody say, "Yeah, I had a conversation with my loved one, and they said something, and I didn't know whether it was passive aggressive, or a joke, and I was unsure about it." Or they say that, I don't feel safe with that person, and they were telling you these types of stories. Red flags would be going crazy, right? And you would be making assumptions. There's also a point where, and I don't know if I included this in the video or not, but there's also a point where like sex does play a part of it because if it was a lady saying some of the things that Cody was saying, we were like, oh, somebody need to call the police and CPS, and we need to figure something
Yeah.
out. But because it's Cody saying it about Mary, and we kind of see Cody as the bad guy, that we look past the possibility that this could be going on from her end.
Yep.
And there's also a weird part where sometimes we kind of fall into the Hollywood version of there can only be one bad person. And in some homes, you could have multiple people doing multiple things, just in different times to
Yep.
different people or even to each other. So we'll talk a little bit about that. Again, I don't want to accuse her of something like this because I can't root out and out prove it. But I just want to present it, ask the question. I'm looking for other people to give their feedback and their thoughts because it's something that really struck me, and I just thought maybe we should open it up for conversation.
All right.
So
I can't wait.
yeah, yeah. So we shall see. But let me get this last super chat in before we go. From Stacy Stitches, 499 super
Thank
chat.
you.
Ari was very excited to see Mary. That
Yeah.
tells me that Mary is like Ari's favorite auntie. She doesn't get to see very often. This is, it's just experiencing the children. It's
Mhm.
experience from their perspective. There's going to be kids in any big family. There'll be some people that you like and some people that you don't. Some people you have good experiences with. That same person, they could, some of the other kids may have had bad experiences with. It also depends on where they are in life. Sometimes when you're struggling and you're trying to figure out how to make things happen, you can have that short fuse. But as you start to develop more
Mhm.
finances, you start making a little more money, get a little more comfortable, you become a lot more understanding. There's also a weird part that when you have 18 kids, like that first child was probably the most protected child in the history of the world. You have you have four parents. So Logan was probably, getting picked up all the time. That kid, I'm surprised he even know how to walk because I'm surprised that everybody wasn't picking them up and scooping them up and giving them kisses and all that and protecting them every kind of way. But you figure about an 18th child, that child is a feral beast. You know, Logan, they were pureeing carrots and making baby food for him. This child, they just put him out in the pasture and let him go wild. You got to forage for your own meals. So I don't know. It's just different positions, but I can see that. I can see that. That's a
Mhm.
good point. But before we go, let me give a big, huge shout out to the moderators. I
Yes.
had
Thank you.
Brittany, not Brittany, as well as Carmel Kitty. I see BKK in the house.
Mhm.
Am I missing anybody? Moi? Am I missing one?
Tiffany we had earlier, and I think Kendra I saw too.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay. So thank you guys. Let me give everybody, including Stacy, a little something, something. All the moderators, as well as all you awesome folks in the chat, hold it down, keeping it fire. So I want to appreciate you guys. Thank you so much. All right, guys, make sure you check out our videos coming up. Hit that like button on your way out. We appreciate it. If you haven't yet subscribed to our channels, My Take on Reality, as well as Reality Squad and Sarah Spills, make sure you hit all the channels, hit the like button, so share, subscribe, come back, leave comments, all that good stuff. Thank you guys so much. And Sarah, did you have anything else you wanted to say before we outie?
No, just thanks. Thanks for tuning in, you guys. Have a good one.
All right. Thank you guys so much. I'm James. That's Sarah. And we are out. See you later. Have a good one.